pulling up the feed.
Nice.
There we go.
And we're live. Hello. The awkward, is anyone even there in the
Yeah.
void?
Hello.
Uh, but yes, welcome both. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited. We are talking House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson,
Yes.
and I am very excited. So do we want to do any intros? I don't know. I don't know. It's only my second one.
Well, why don't you start?
Um, yeah, so hi, my name's Gabriella. So this is like the second live show of my standalone book club where we read standalones. I've been on BookTube like 3 years now, and yeah, and I really love the Year of the Witching, so I assembled this team because, well, I know Neeks, you love the Year of the Witching, and know
I did.
Annie that you've read this.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I need someone else who loves Year of the Witching to talk about this about this book with. So yeah, that's how we got together.
Yay.
Hi. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having us here. I'm really excited. Yeah, I also loved Year of the Witching. My name's Annie from Annie's Book Nook, my YouTube channel. Yeah, and I am very excited to talk about vampires and horror stuff. So
Yay. I'm Neeks. I am a fellow lover of the Year of the Witching, and generally just a lover of Alexis Henderson being a spooky babe. Uh, and yeah, I just love talking about books.
Lovely. Well, welcome both. Thank you so much for joining. I am very excited and very curious. I know Nix, you said you love it, so I had a spoiler, but that's okay.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch your vlog. I was like, I don't want to know, but
Yeah.
I did not put it in the November one, so all good.
okay, good. I am excited to hear details. Hello, Kira. Welcome. Kira said, I loved Year of the Witching too. Amazing. But I'm 40 pages away from finishing House of Hunger. It's okay. You're almost there. Hopefully, we'll like slide into the ending spoilers very
Yes.
softly. So
Yeah.
we can keep watching. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe I'll give a little bit of a synopsis if someone's like not read it. But we follow, what's her face? How did I already forget this?
Marion?
From Marion, who becomes a blood maiden and moves to this house full of very interesting individuals who drink blood, but are officially not
Yeah.
vampires. But yeah. Well, so like I'm curious to, I guess, hear. Hi, Rory. Nice to see you. So I'm curious, I guess, to hear like your general thoughts, and we can like go into details. It's super unstructured, so whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about it.
Okay. Do you want to start with me?
Oh, feel free. Feel free.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I loved the Year of the Witching. So when I heard that Alexis Henderson was coming out with an adult horror, I was very excited. And I do love the vampire vibes of it, the gothic vibes of it. And bear with me, everyone, because I did read this in October, so I might not remember all the details. But yeah, I really liked it. I think I like vampires, but I was actually kind of surprised because I think you just said, like, were they really vampires or were they just weirdos like drinking blood for no reason? So yeah, that was an interesting take on like the vampire genre, I guess, to not actually have them be like supernatural beings. They're just people. Yes, that was interesting. And Marion was a really strong character too. So that was really cool.
I 100% agree. I did go in expecting it to be kind of a very vampire gothic sort of story, and we got a very abstract idea of what a vampire is, and that was very fun. I know that some people will probably be like, "Where are the vampires? This isn't a vampire story," but isn't it? Because they are drinking blood, they are getting some form of nutrients from the blood, so they are vampires. I just think Alexis Henderson took a very interesting approach to what vampirism is. And not being like, yes, they, blah, blah, I want to suck your blood. It was very understated because they are doing it, but they aren't explicitly saying, I'm a vampire. And there are a couple pieces in the story where it's textually stated, this person moved with supernatural speed. This person threw me across the room, like something like that. So it's very interesting to not have vampire ever stated in this book.
100%. No, you're very right. And I think like this book, it was just really well done in terms of being like a monster story, if that makes sense. Like, like Frankenstein, or like I kept thinking about Bluebeard, that like the myth of Bluebeard, where the wife goes like where she's not meant to go and then sees all those body parts, and I was like, kind of like that. And yeah, like a proper like Dracula, like a monster story, and it had really good vibes. I really enjoyed that. And I think it just did so well, like what it set out to do, which is like be this monster vampire story. And I love that it was sapphic and that the monster, like the monstrous creature, it was a woman. Really loved that, how that was done. Kira said definitely Countess Bathory vibes, everything down to the red water to look like blood. Yeah, and it was like such an interesting like look at the vampires, like you said, because it was kind of like, so the Countess, she's kind of got this hunger, right? So she has, it's like an illness and she has to do it. But then there's other just rich people drinking blood, and I'm like, is she actually like this mythical creature where other people are just kind of like normal people drinking blood, or is it like some unexplained things? So I really, really enjoyed that. I think overall I felt like the book maybe could have been slightly longer to like connect with the relationship more, maybe. But when I finished it, I was like, actually, this was like a creature horror story, and it really did that well. So fair play.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree, and I definitely agree that I'm very glad it was sapphic because when I read it, I actually didn't know, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I think that was a cool twist on like the Dracula trope of the kind of vampire story that you usually see. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice to have that sort of feminine like antagonism at the end there, because all the way through it, I will be perfectly honest with you, I was like, oh my god, they're so cute, I love this, and then it started all going downhill and I was like, oh, I don't love this anymore.
Yeah,
it was pretty toxic.
It was super toxic. But it brings up a really interesting, like, for I don't know, feel free to agree or disagree, a very interesting look at like power dynamics, because I think that the Countess did really love Marion, but can you love something that you have to feed on truly? And I think the book answers that with a big no. So
yeah, that's a really, really good point. Yeah,
100%. And I feel like it was so interesting because it was like when Marion, well, I don't know, like kind of like the Countess acted was kind of interesting because it was like the classic gaslighter, like bad guy. Because you think about it, first she's like really quickly lavishes her with attention by inviting her like really quickly to the meeting, but then never comes to meet her, and then just like ices her out when she didn't do what she asked, like right away, like shooting that guy, right? And then ignores her. Then she's like, oh, actually, you're my equal. You're like my abs, like, you're my equal, but never does anything that would imply that they're actually equals. Like, they're still got this relationship that's like super messed up. And you're so right. It's like the book's being like, can you exploit someone and truly love them and truly be like their equal? But no, you can't, because you're exploiting them. So they need their freedom. And I think it was kind of refreshing how quickly Marion, once she figured out what happened, was like, I'm out of here. Yeah. You're all out there, instead of being like, but she loves me, so it's okay.
Right? And it was really refreshing to see her fellow bloodmates to also be like, okay, we're all out. Let's go.
100%.
Yeah, I really liked the like sisterhood camaraderie of the bloodmates there. I really liked them all. That was a really good dynamic.
And like I kind of wish like they were closer, like like better friends or whatever. But then as the book went on, actually Marion made a point of like from get-go, from day one when we get there, she's trying to pit us against each other, because actually there's like this whole hierarchy, and there's clear like winners and losers, and you get treated better the higher you are as a bloodmate. So I was like, oh, so that's also like part of this commentary, I guess, of like pitting women against each other, making them compete for your attention, whatever. So it's kind of hard to like develop true friendship when you're already pitted against each other before you even met each other. But like I really liked Marion, and I think even like the empathy she had for Cecilia till the end, she was like, that was really amazing, because I was like, well, this girl definitely crazy, but at the same time you're like, like leaving her behind and like still kind of caring about her. And I thought it was sweet that like the girls tried to like send the letters. And I was like, she's not getting those letters. But yeah, I was like,
no, that was so sad. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm like, like I kind of figured it was like that was what was happening, but it was still like, no, like you hoped that it wasn't.
Yes. And there were lots of moments in the book where you're like, I hope it's not this, and then it turns out to be whatever you hope that it wasn't. It was totally that. And that was really fun, like emotionally to experience, because somehow I felt at parts like this book was moving really, really fast. But then at the same time, I was still having these really deep emotional connections to certain characters. So it was really fun to see how that played out in every single time. So that's a testament to craft for Alexis Henderson, how she can so quickly drop you in and make you care about someone. Even May, who is a tiny baby child, I was like, please don't kill this child. I beg you. Just...
I thought there'd be something very creepy with May. I was like, she's some kind of creature. She's something weird, but then she just kind of was what she was. I thought that was nice. They had this kid to care about. And like even the stupid cat, when they were like, would not leave the cat. I was like, don't leave the cat. I was like, it makes sense. You're like risking your life to go get the cat. Fair enough.
So funny.
In the beginning, to switch gears a little bit, the whole thing with Marion's brother.
Oh,
I think it was. I mean, he's awful. But I think it was interesting as well, like how she went from that really terrible abusive dynamic into something she thought was gonna like save her from it, and then it was another different abusive dynamic too. So that was interesting. But the whole thing with her brother just made me so mad. Like it was
it's pretty bad.
He was like, And I was like, why are you feeling bad that you killed him? Like he was you literally fought him off as he was trying to, because the description was like he was like bashing her head in, and she like pushed away or something. He's trying to murder you, sis.
It's self-defense.
And like I guess that should have been a red flag when the Countess was like, yeah, you're a murderer, I'm a murderer. I'm like, well, she's not a murderer though. She was that's self-defense. But no one told her like, no, actually you're okay.
In hindsight, I look at that line now that the Countess says as, pure manipulation. But at the time of reading it, I thought she was just trying to make a connection with somebody who might understand her. And just in hindsight for this entire book, I'm like, wow, Marion was never safe. That's so sad.
100%.
Poor Marion.
It's like, sorry.
No, please.
No, like I really agree that like maybe I didn't think there'd be like a happy ending, but I kind of thought the conflict was gonna be this Countess dying, we need to like save her, like something more tragic. And then like you said, it's like you look back and you're like, fuck me, that was a lot of like gaslighting and manipulation, and just like at the moment maybe I was like, oh, don't tell her she's a murderer, but like I also thought it was like her like connecting with her and like we're both monsters, the classic Gothic, So it was like in hindsight you're like, huh, all right, it makes like fair enough, like really well done.
Yeah,
you want to root for them because like you said, she came from such a bad situation. And part of me was like, this is a sweet gig, like you get all this money, you get all this safety, like get to have lots of sex with a hot woman, like what's not to like, right? And then,
that's like, pretty good.
And it was all a lie.
Very sad. Yeah. No, the whole world building, I think
Mm,
I kind of wanted a little bit more of it, I think.
yeah.
Because it was super interesting, but I feel like there was just like I felt like I was following the thread of it and like trying to grab onto more of it, and then it didn't happen. Because there was like a lot between North and South and
Mhm.
like different houses and stuff. Because obviously she's in the House of Hunger, and then there are other different ones. And I thought that was really, really cool, but I wanted to know more about it.
Agreed. I it's so hard with books like this where you just like there'll be a thread about world building and you're like, I really want to dive into that thread, but the story is about X, Y, and Z. So you
Yeah.
never get that thread, and it's like I don't want to say it's a letdown because it's not at all. What the story was supposed to do, I think it did. But at
Mhm.
the same time, now I'm waiting for, where's the House of Clouds book? Where's the House of what was the other one? Fog, House of Fog book. Now I want all the books, and I
Yes.
want a book on the Southern Isles, and I want a book on what happened to Marion's friend who she met up with in
Oh, yeah.
the slums, I guess, for a
Mhm.
cigarette. Now I'm like, what happened to her?
That's true. We never learn what happened after they separate. Mhm.
She probably
Yeah.
got taken by typhoid. Let's be honest about it.
Sad.
Probably.
That's probably true.
Yes.
No, I know you mean though, because I started reading this book and I was like, this is not a standalone. This must be a series because they set up quite like a comprehensive
Yeah.
world. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I fucked up, chose it for this one like book club where it's all about reading standalones, and I chose like first book in the series. I was so sure. I was like, for fuck's sake. And then like it's like there's this whole wide world, but like you said, we just care about this very narrow story of like
Mhm.
this girl like um freeing herself. And I think that's something with standalones. Sometimes it's hard to like juggle because on one hand, like you want it to feel a fully fleshed out world, but you're telling this very narrow story. And some like feel like there's this story, but there's not that much around it. So
Mhm.
it's like I like it more this way because you have like more questions, you're interested and whatever. So it's
Mm.
like so well done. But there's so much space for like you said, like different houses. And I guess like I said, I still don't know whether like she was like a vampire and everyone else was just normal. Like because
Mhm.
to me it sounds like other bloodmates do get like retirement and stuff. So this is like
Yeah.
more like a weird situation when they're dead essentially.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think that must be why. I think this is a major spoiler. If you have not finished the book, please go away for like the next 5 minutes.
mute us.
So when Marion went to Ivor or Ivor, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. She said a bunch of stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, that's bad," So thus indicating that holding
Mm.
pensions from bloodmaids who
Mm.
have completed their tenure, slash killing them and locking them in the bottom of your castle, that implies that all of that is bad and illegal, and that she would have gone to jail.
Mm.
But then he was dumb and went to go tell the countess everything. So it is to be implied that other blood maids have that ability to go and actually retire.
Mm.
So I think that this is just a House of Hunger thing, which then begs the question: is it just House of Hunger that has this weird hunger thing going on, or is it all of the heads of houses? Is it a
Mm.
genetic thing? Like, there's so many questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
That's true. No, because it's like they say that this guy, her ancestor, whatever his name, her ancestor like came over with this hunger,
Hmm.
and he was the first. He started the first house, so House of Hunger was the first house. So like for me, it's kind of like did he just take a bunch of normal people who don't have the hunger and was like, hey, if you drink blah, it's like cool and stuff, so maybe you should do it. And then they just kind of did it, and it was
Maybe.
like he was pretending it's not so bad, but because maybe if they knew what he was doing, they'd be like,
Hmm.
hell no. But yeah, because like you said, like I think it was described as like his face looked horrified and he was like really disturbed. Yeah, I don't know why he thought it was a good idea to like go to her. I assume he was trying to like blackmail her or something. But it's never like
Mm.
spelled out. But I think I would assume he was like, actually, I can get a better deal if I go blackmail her and get her stuff or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, no, you're very good point. Yeah, so I think it's kind of like this House of Hunger thing.
Hmm.
But it's like so interesting because we also, we meet those handlers or like tasters, I think they're called.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, her taster knows what's up.
Yeah.
So like he knows. But he drinks blood and he seems like normal. Like he drinks it, but nothing happens, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then when Marion was sick, she drank blood and that maybe made her better. So maybe there is something to drinking blood and like
Maybe. Yeah, maybe there's like a little bit of supernatural stuff going on like below the surface that wasn't ever really expressly said.
Yeah.
Could be.
Good. I mean, it could be. I went into this book like midway in the book. I was like, oh, everyone's suffering from prions disease, and then I realized that that's not from blood. That's from eating human bodies. So I went the complete wrong direction with this story. But I felt like it was probably something similar. Like there are plenty of civilizations across the entire stretch of human existence that have consumed blood in ceremonial things. So I felt like maybe it was kind of nodding to that. I spent a lot of time trying to rationalize why and how these people made a society based on blood.
Yeah.
And I think that I just needed to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
No, but you're so right. Like there's like all these like myths about if you bathe in blood of babies, you're gonna be young and stuff like that in like real world. So it's so interesting. But I had a thought, but it's like way gone.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I thought as you were talking, I was like, that's such a great point. And now it's like gone. Oh well. We'll come back.
It'll come back eventually.
Exactly. Okay.
But yeah, so this was very interesting. If I can drop us back towards the Raoul thing, or just like that general setting, I thought that we'd be there a lot longer. Just so we knew what happened to Marion's former employer with the leeches on her head and whatnot. Like, I don't know if that's enough to kill a person, but in theory, Marion killed 2 people that day.
In theory, yeah. That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that.
I just kind of assumed they like took it off her, but I don't know how serious leeches are.
Me either. I always thought they were like, they just kill you instantly, but I guess not.
No, because people use it to like get healthy because they like take it. Yeah. So like leeching, well, I don't think people do it now, but like back then, like you would put leeches to like cure your blood, like basically like take out unhealthy blood. I mean, people used to believe in like actually bloodletting to like get like let go of the toxic blood. I don't know if that helped. I would assume making stuff weaker when coming to blood would help, but I don't think she like killed her. I would assume no. But have this like angry welt from the leech.
Yeah.
I think maybe I thought she would die just from the sheer amount of leeches. Because I've seen like one leech on a person before, and I'm like, oh, haha, you just pull it off. But like a tub full of them?
That's so gross.
That is a lot of leeches. That could not be pleasant. I kind of remember what I wanted to say. So I was just thinking like how this book is so amazing, like with playing with your expectations. Because I feel like, I read the synopsis, I was like, okay, it's about vampires, it's about blood, right? So I kept like thinking about this is gonna kind of and like just show us and drop hints that they're vampires, and it's like all these things I think I made assumption, and then it's kind of subverted. Like for example, I kept thinking that the reason that the Countess is not staying till dawn is because she can't go into sunlight or something. I don't know. Like, that wasn't like that good of a theory just because we saw her go hunting, and I think that was during the day. But I was like, oh, maybe it was overcast day, something like that. I don't know. So I kept thinking, oh, she can't go into the sun because she's a vampire, and then turns out, nope, that's not what it is. Like, she goes on like a. No, they never explained it. I guess she just really likes going like to her victims before dawn. I don't know, but yeah. So it's just like I guess my point is like think of things we know about vampires, and I was just trying to slot them in, even though they're not really that kind of vampire. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it made the atmosphere a little bit creepier too, because like you didn't really know what was going on, and you kept trying to guess, and you kept being wrong about it. So yeah, it definitely made it creepier.
For sure.
Yeah, yeah. This Speaking of atmosphere, like the whole atmosphere of the book, I think was really well done.
Yes.
Like all the descriptions of the food and the like furnishings and how the house looked and everything was
Yes.
just peak
Perfect.
gothic vibes. Yeah, really good.
Yes. Probably my favorite part of the book.
Yes, me too. Yeah, it was really, really well done.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. It was like very atmospheric, and the house was like so creepy and like.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something about those parties they threw, it just felt so like gothic, like fever dream to me. It was like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
cool. I mean, I didn't like the parties themselves, but the vibe of them was like this mysterious mansion with all these parties, and yeah, it was very interesting. And it's like we never really knew that much about those people except for Ivor, whatever his name is. But it was just like very interesting to see. And like, who are these people? Why are they here? Like, do they know? Do they know? I guess they don't
Right.
know.
I do appreciate them explaining that the Countess can't just kick them out. They are ambassadors and various high-ranking socialites. So that made everything fall more into a place of sense for me. Because I was like, just kick these people out of your house. What are you doing?
100%.
Oh yeah, that whole wait, that was disturbing. Like the whole game of like, well, it wasn't a game, but like when they were like chasing Marion. Oh my God, yeah, that was so disturbing and scary.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
And then I thought for sure they were going to do something to Celia when they saw her.
Yeah, me too.
I was so scared. Like, I know she was insane, but I didn't want her to die by being attacked by random people.
No. Yeah, it's oh my God. Like the more I'm talking to you guys, the more I'm like, damn, there's layers because it's like these people are actually like when we first enter the house, they're kind of the danger. They're the thing to look out for, they're the villain. But turns out the villain the whole time is actually the Countess. And if anything, they could maybe help. I mean, she ended up going to the wrong person. But like it's like they're not the ultimate evil in the house. There's actually like so much worse under it. So yeah, but like that game was so disturbing, and I'm just thinking how they set out these rules of like you can never go to the Countess first, but then like Marion breaks that rule. There's like no consequences, so it makes her feel like special and stuff. And just like the layer of gaslighting and like manipulation is like amazing. So
yes,
yeah,
and it's one of those books where you can read it like 5 times and find something new every single time. I love it.
yeah. I was reading it. I was like, oh, I'm not like, not that I'm not liking it, but I'm liking it. But it's like I'm not that into their relationship because for me, it just felt like always a little like weird. Because I thought this would be like a love story for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what part of me read this description and was like, yes, love story. I, for some reason, expected it to be more like a romance rather than it was a perfect description of like a toxic love, right?
Oh yeah,
like, great.
Yes,
It was amazing. And like I finished reading, I was like, yeah, this is the perfect creature horror toxic relationship book. So it's done great job. And now I'm talking to you, I'm like, there's so many layers of it, so it's great. But like you said, you can get something new out of it every time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so excited for Alexis Henderson's like next thing.
Me too. She does creepy very, very well. And
yes.
I will say that this book was less I don't know how to Year of the Witching made me really love what she said about things like patriarchy, sexism, womanhood in general. This one was interesting because I think it had the same themes and commenting points, but I think that they did it in such a way that it was even more understated, because now that we're talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, all these things about, womanhood and how a woman survives, starts popping up. But it was so understated because I spent most of the book worrying about whether these, people were going to come out of the walls as creatures the whole time. So it was I love it so much now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Year of the Witching was more like not as subtle, if that's the right way to put it. I really liked Year of the Witching. I think I might have liked it a little bit more than House of Hunger,
I think so too.
still, but yeah, the House of Hunger was definitely more like under the surface of everything, and you have to kind of dig more to get to it. So that made it, yeah, very interesting.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, 100%. Like I agree. I like maybe Year of the Witching slightly more because it's just like I guess it was more exciting or something, because it was like such high
Mhm.
stakes and like I love being in the woods and like I loved all the like I just loved how much she uses blood and gore and like how
Yes.
well she does it and
Yeah.
how visceral it all is. Like I really like it. I didn't even think I used to like horror, but like I've realized I love horror. So
Same.
yeah, it's just like I'm like, oh gross, disgusting. But yeah, it was so much more subtler. But yeah, like as we're talking, it's like the fact that the Bloodsmaid are only ever women, right? But then it's interesting because the countess or the main person in charge can also be a woman. So it's kind of like, but it's also like, women can also abuse power and
Yes.
Mhm.
contribute to patriarchy. It's like just because you're a woman, you're not, an angel. Um and yeah, it's like, yeah, and like this promise of like better life in exchange for basically your physical mental well-being, and like it's just so good. And yeah, it was so good, man. Yeah, like you said, but it's like it takes a bit more thinking rather than you being like, oh, obviously, like,
Yes.
because in the Year of the Witching it was literally like a society that was like, where ich women men.
Yeah, it's very
Ooh.
clear.
Yeah.
I do think so one of the things I thought about at the conclusion of this book, because it cannot be said the same for Year of the Witching, obviously, is had the Countess been a count the whole time, I think we would have picked up on a lot more of the gaslighting, the manipulation, the horror.
Mm.
But because by virtue of the Countess being a woman, we gave every single bit of doubt possible to this woman until we could not give it anymore. And I think ultimately that was so genius of Alexis Henderson, because it almost forced us to go through the book being like, yeah, I still root for them. Yeah, I still root for them. I don't know about this anymore. This is bad.
Yeah, I definitely was kind of like even past a certain point of no return. I was like, but can't they please like can it work out and actually have her not be terrible to Marion? But yeah,
Alas.
unfortunately not.
But
Yeah.
and think about how quickly you would have been there already had that been a man the
Oh
whole
yeah,
time.
no, I would not have tolerated any of that.
Yeah. The second it was like, oh, he has a harem of women that she drinks blood from. No, thank you. Clearly, he's the bad guy.
Clearly.
Oh. And that's such a good point. Oh my gosh, yeah, because she had all these traits of like classical, like bad guy manipulator. But I was like, oh, but she's sick. Like she's
Yeah.
doing it because she's sick. She would never do this just because, but she kind of did do it. Like she's sick, but like sounds to me like she doesn't have an actual illness. She's just
She's
the
just
the hunger is the illness. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and yeah, it's just like it all turned so quickly, I guess, because it was like, I love you, I'll do anything for you, blah blah. Oh, you found out my secret? Well, let me murder you now. It's like, okay,
everybody dies now. So
yeah,
that was the craziest thing. She didn't just take Marion; she took all of the blood maids.
Yeah.
And so, wow. She. The longer we talk, the more I'm like, wow, the Countess is the worst.
It's
not a
pretty
great
evil.
person, no. I mean, yeah, I mean, the moment when I was like, oh, and I don't know if that was early or late, but when she stumbled upon those secret passages and wanted to talk to the tutor,
Mhm.
and he was like, "There's something you need to know," and then the mother came in, the mother of the house, I mean, came in
Mhm.
and was like, "Oh, we need to talk." I was like, "Ooh." I don't even know if he's alive, if I'm
Mm.
being honest. Like, I feel
Oh
like
yes.
because he knows all the secrets, right? So like,
Mhm.
I feel like we barely even knew him, but I felt really bad for him. I was like, he's trying to kind of do the right thing. And like,
Yeah, I felt really bad for that guy.
And that part did confuse me because I'm like, what loyalty do you have to Marion to risk your entire life? But again, that's another thread in this book that we just will never get to tug on. How long had he been there? What was his exact scope of duties? Where did he come from? Why did they murder him? He could have just like stopped talking. So many questions for that one character. It's amazing.
yeah. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Like, yeah, like other houses and like all these relationships people have with each other. And I think it's quite interesting that like in the beginning of the book we learn that the North ways are kind of dying out, right? And South and like progress or whatever is like pushing them out. And part of me was like, oh, that's a shame. It sounds like it's kind of working in the North, you know? Like North is broken, actually. And yeah, and I guess like, you know, this prejudice that her friend has against it kind of like fair play. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just happy they all got away, you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
R.I.P. Cecilia. Cecilia?
yeah.
She was a hero in the end, so that's nice.
Yes,
Yes.
that's true.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, the last like 75% of the book was very like fast and everything seemed like it happened all at once and it was wild. Like yeah, it's really wild.
I think I read the entire like last 75% or last 25% last night, and I don't think I breathed until the end. There was no breath in my body for that whole entire time. And a lot of it was just the sudden, I don't even know how to describe it. There was such a roller coaster creep all the way to that point, and the drop was so steep.
Yeah.
And what a way to end a book. That's magnificent way.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's like I kind of thought something dodgy was going on, but didn't quite appreciate how bad it was, I guess. Because, like, I thought when she saw this old woman wretch thing, I was like, oh, it's her mother or something like that. I don't know, just because I didn't think, because in the end, when she was drinking from Cecilia and made her a wretch, she did take like years at a time. So there was some like kind of magic there.
True.
But it was like so subtle in the beginning, but we kept being dropped hints that something's happening. Like I think Irene, her name, you know, her hair was like thinning out and how bad it was. And I thought that was just because like you get so much blood taken away from you. Like you eventually start like, you know, if people are anemic, there are like serious consequences. So I thought that was it. But now I'm thinking it was like maybe that, but also the fact that she's stealing their youth like a little bit by a little bit. And towards the end, she's just like taking it all in kind of thing.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I didn't put that together. That's really interesting. Yeah.
I didn't either. That was, see, every time you look back, it's something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like maybe that's why, because I thought it was kind of interesting how she got rid of them in cohorts, you know, like they never really met each other. Maybe because by the end, you're like, if you were new and you came in and all these women that are your age are all looking like 70 and no hair, you'd be like, fuck, I don't want to be here. Where like, if you're all young and beautiful together, and it's kind of creepy, like how young they wanted them. I think it was like 16 to 18
15.
or 20. Yeah, it's like something like that's the customary, right?
Well, okay, about that. Earlier, they said they can't take any blood maids who are under the age of 19. Then when Marion looks in the records, it shows 15 to 22-year-olds. And I was like,
something fishy's going on.
Odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like when the countess says that her father used to drink from her when she was like a kid, essentially, like she was like 11 when she killed him, I think. So she was like before 11, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you can never drink from children," but like 15 is young, like
a child. Yeah, I mean, it's so like, yeah. That whole part was so creepy.
Yes,
and like even in the original listing for the blood maid, it was like no older than 19, and then Maria's 20, but they still took her, I guess, because they really liked her. Like And I was thinking to myself, why do they have to be so young? Like, I feel like your blood doesn't, like, go bad, like, once you turn 25. Like, okay, I understand if they were, like, very old, but I've kept thinking, like, oh, surely they're, like, fine till they're, like, 30 at least, or 40 or whatever. But I guess it makes sense, because if they're stealing your youth, they want more of that to steal.
Exactly.
Yeah. Something else that I'm really curious now, I'm like, was it another layer of manipulation? Because at first I was like, I feel like makes no, like, they kind of dropped the whole, oh, Marion, your blood is so, like, amazing and different, and I've never tasted anything like that. And I was like, I feel like they just dropped that, like, never came into play. I'm like, do they say that to everyone just to be like, wow, your blood's so amazing, I need to give you to this woman? Because she was like, oh yeah, it's very, like, tasty or whatever, but, like, it never came really into play, or, like, why was it so good, kind of thing.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Like love bombing her in the beginning with, like, "Oh, you're so special," and making her, like, more willing to go along with whatever, even if it does seem a little suspicious. She's like, "Well, they think I'm special, so, everything will be fine," but
Yeah.
it's not fine.
It's
That's a
crazy.
really good point.
And then all the, like, oh, I fully agree. It just all feels like a sales pitch now. Like, everything was a manipulation. It's so sad. But also, did you guys get the feeling like they picked the wretch, like, almost immediately? Anybody else? So, when Marion arrives at the castle, she's put in a room with wretch already written on the bed. Then she sees Celia's necktie, and that has wretch stitched into the back of it. Eventually, when she takes Celia's place, not only is she put in Celia's old room, which now has wretch all over it, but the Countess starts calling her wretched girl, you're such a wretched woman. She's saying it playfully at the time, but I think it's a title that she's now giving.
Yeah. It's kind of like putting into her subconscious.
Yeah.
To, like,
it's
to, like, eventually answer to it. Because, like, she makes Cecilia be like, I'm the wretch, you know what I mean? Like, so maybe it's like, you see this word and she starts wondering about it, and then this word is like, etched into your brain, and then maybe it's like some kind of, like, a manipulation as well. That's such a good point. Yeah.
That is a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that at all.
I did think it was, like, so random to be like wretch, and then Marion says, like, oh, it's such an ugly slur, but I'm like, is that like, it's just like a word for, like, I don't know, undesirable person? I really don't even know.
Yeah.
It's just like, I was like, oh, you're.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came to, like, so important.
It was interesting because the whole time before she gets to be, number one blood maid, she's like, I must find out the secret of why this word is everywhere. It's on the ceiling now. It's on the bed. It's on the everything. I found this random tooth. But the second the Countess called her wretched girl, it's like she did not care about the word anymore. She now took it in as a term of endearment up until she then found old Celia in the dungeon, if you will. So it was very interesting how quickly she took this slur that she thought was so bad before. But the second her beloved Countess says it, it's, oh, yay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Man, yeah. It was, like, so toxic, and like, kind of from both sides. Even from Marion, she was so possessive, like, so, like, fixated. And when she saw, like, the twins having sex with the Countess, and she was, like, really icing out the twins. They have absolutely no power or agency in this situation. Like, they cannot say no.
Yes.
What? And she was, like, icing them out and making them feel bad. I'm like,
yeah, that did make me a little uncomfortable.
They don't want to be doing the DD there. Like, what do you mean? I was that pissed me. But now I'm like, it's like another tactic, kind of, to make them, like, pit against each other, be jealous and all this. But it's, like, not their fault. But when you're in it, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think that's a good point about the Countess and Marion's relationship, like, not actually being based in any real kind of love. Because if you have, like, a real love for someone, I mean, obviously the Countess has all the control, but just pretending that that's not there for a second. Like, if you have real love for someone, like, you don't, like, you're not that possessive, and you're not so insecure of your own position that you take it out on other people and things like that. Like, that's a very interesting point, because it happens in toxic relationships, like, that don't have anything to do with vampires, so
Yes.
yeah.
100%. Yeah, she was like so insecure that basically the moment she became number one, from the second she was like just worried about losing that.
Yeah.
Didn't enjoy
Yeah.
it for 1 minute, and she was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be replaced. I'm gonna be replaced. Like that's
Yeah.
her only one thought. And like she nearly died from blood poisoning, but
Mhm.
just the idea that the countess was getting new people. And at first I was like, that's so sweet. She's trying to help you out, man. And then I'm like, oh my god, I'm delusional. But I was
Right.
like, oh, that's kind of nice. She's trying to do a nice thing. Make sure you're all healthy.
Mhm.
And then Marion was like, wait, someone made a point about there not being that many rooms. And I was like, my God, you're right. She
You're
tried to
right.
get rid of you all. Like, it was never about love. And it's like, she's always kind of just, like, she doesn't care that she's, like, making you sick, but she's going to take all of your blood anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like how delusional Marion was. She was like fainting, almost died, like got blood poisoning. It sees like her friends, like hair falling out by handfuls. And just the idea of someone else entering, her first thought is like, that person's gonna be the new shiny thing, and I'm this old, like gross thing. And they're all like 19, 20 years old. So it's like kind of really sad. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be replaced. And it's kind of like this whole replace you for a younger, better model, but like bad. Like very bad.
And again, had the Countess been a man, we would have all seen it immediately.
That's true. Yeah.
It's just so brilliant. It's and oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I need to reread it now because it's like
me too. Yeah, me too.
It's fantastic. In a way, I think, I'm sure, I don't know if this was the goal of Alexis Henderson, but in a way I felt dragged because it's like she was saying, oh, you would have picked this up had you been reading about a man and a woman. But because I put in a sapphic relationship, your brain went dumb and you couldn't see any red flags. And I was like, wow, that's rude, but true.
Yeah, right. Rude. Excuse me.
How dare you?
Oh my God. I didn't even like think about how much I excused till we've just talked. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, like, it's just some questionable things, maybe, but it's okay. Like, she took her out of poverty.
The woman in the dungeon, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so
I think
much.
the moment my illusion of any kind of like was shattered when she was like, oh, I've given you everything. I've like, what else can I give you? And she was like, pull out your own tooth. I was like, are you insane?
Yeah.
Yes.
So messed up.
And then they start making out and making whoopee, and I was like, whoa.
Yes. But then again, part of me was like, oh, but look how upset she is. She didn't actually want her to like rip out her teeth. Even though when it happened, I was horrified. But then when she was like, stop it, like, but I'm like, okay, if you loved her, you would have never even asked. Like, I don't care. Like, you would never even entered your messed up mind to like be like, pull out your own tooth and like let her go to town with her all like. And I'm thinking, is like the tooth thing a thing? Because Cecilia, when she was like proving her love, was literally like pulling out her own teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like about this control. And like even the Countess, she told us from get-go, she was like, when in the hunting scene, she was like, if you don't do what I do without question, I don't want you. I'm like, that's so toxic. Like, terrible.
Yeah.
Even the fight up to the Countess demanding Marion rip out her own molar. What was that? That was the most toxic fight I've ever read in my life.
Literally, so bad.
It was so. I don't remember the words they used. I don't remember what started it. Marion was like, "I don't want you to have new people" or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah.
I'll have to reread it. I just remember, like, as I was reading, I was like, "This is something you hear through the walls of your apartment."
Yeah. Yeah, something like your friend tells you happened, and you're like, you have to get away from this person.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of feel like this is our like toxic love story for the ages, like like Wuthering Heights, where
Oh,
everyone's just so
Mhm.
toxic
Yeah.
and like kind of bad person, and you're like, fuck me. But their love they have for each other is so intense, but it's not love.
it's
And
not.
Marion kind of like she kind of like, nah, this is fuck messed up. I need to leave, and you're all leaving with me. And I like that because I feel like if this was like an old gothic toxic love story, they all would have died and
Oh
their
yeah,
house would have been in
Probably.
flames. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, that would be the end of it. So I kind of like that. It was kind of like, no, we're getting out. And they all got
Yeah.
out, and that was beautiful.
Yeah, I did
It was
like that
really
it was like a positive ending at least, which was
Yeah.
good.
Positive.
Positive.
also therapy needed, I think. But
Yeah, definitely.
And
yeah.
what an interesting ending as well. Just the fact that they all made it, everyone go away who hasn't read it yet. The fact that
Yeah.
they all made it out with the child and the cat, wow, fantastic. I
Yeah.
think that by itself is subversion because someone would have died in like an older novel.
Yeah.
And the last scene with the ticket teller, is that what they're called?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was really sweet, I think. That was really sweet.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of amazing, like, because like they got the fake check, whatever, but like in the end it was like the human kindness that like let them go, because he was like,
Yeah.
you were never here, but I'm gonna do this for you.
Mhm.
But I kept thinking, like, Marion got so much blood splattered on her. How is she not like head to toe
Yeah.
like covered in blood? And she didn't mention like cleaning up. So I was like, I don't know if I'd sell you the ticket if you're like covered head to toe in blood and come
Yeah.
to me and be like, tickets please.
That's a good
So
point.
you see a bloody woman come out of somewhere with a child and a cat. I think you would have questions.
Yes, and like a check from like a very wealthy guy
Mhm.
covered probably with splatters of blood on it. I feel like, okay.
Yeah.
But maybe the thing we're supposed to infer from that is that, people want the houses to fall in the north. So I think the bank teller, the ticket teller maybe saw the name, saw the blood, saw the child, and was like, oh my God, maybe these people killed all of those people and they're trying to escape. And he's thinking about his young daughter and how he never wants her to go into that sort of business. So he's probably in his mind like, yeah, I hope they're dead. I'll let these ladies go. And that's what happened.
Yeah, that's a lovely way of seeing it. And that's kind of how I saw it. I was like, yeah, like he was like, these people are more like me than, these high lords, who, yeah, probably are dead. But who cares at the same time?
Yeah, they're definitely like super dead. Marion killed so many people in this book. Now that so her brother, maybe her former boss, the Countess. She didn't kill Ivor, but he is dead because of her. Didn't she? Oh, house mother. Did she kill the taster or did she let him go?
I don't
I don't
remember.
remember.
I don't remember. I think no, because she encountered him, found out that he knew everything, and then he called for the Countess and she ran. So he's alive somewhere.
That's why I feel like I should have set the house on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god.
Yeah. Wrap it up in a nice bow and just have everything done with.
Yes.
And how do you feel about the fact that the Countess, like, in the end gave her like the signet ring to like kind of pawn and like get the new life started? I mean, she only did that once she was like dead, dying.
Yeah.
Like, she was not getting away from that. And like she like bitter, but not really. So it was like a.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the toxicity of all of it. I think there was a sick sense of pleasure that the Countess got from turning Marion into a full monster like she was. And in her statement of "you won," I never want to like psychoanalyze too hard in a book because you can make what you will of text, but it just felt like this whole time the Countess is like, you're my equal, blah, blah, blah. And then in that moment, she's finally going, I've been bested by the best, blah, blah. You know, she herself is rationalizing what just happened. And in her rationalization, it's, oh, Marion must be the best. I'm happy to lose now and die.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it too. Like the Countess's thought process of everything must be very, very skewed and messed up.
It's very twisted.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there are like several points in the book where Marion would do something like objectively morally bad, and Countess looked pleased, or like she would defy the Countess and she seemed pleased, like something to that extent. So I think it's like you said, like about turning her like into a monster or a bad person, or being like, hey, you're so morally superior, so sad about your brother, but actually you're just like me, like a terrible person, you know, whatever. So yeah, well, I've learned this book has so many layers.
Yes.
So many. I was probably gonna give it like a 3.5, but I'm feeling like 4.5 probably.
Yeah, my rating has definitely gone up for the book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like talk about it all. Is there anything else you guys want to like talk about?
I think we've covered pretty much everything that I had been thinking of. Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that we got to talk about it because, like I said, my rating has gone up, and I am very excited for anything else that Alexis Henderson writes because she's definitely a master of horror.
Yes, agreed. No, this was just really fun. Thank you so much for inviting me. Like, this was such a fun discussion.
I had so much fun as well. Thank you both for coming. Like, this was amazing discussion. Like, I'm so glad we had it. I feel like I came in, I was like, I don't know how I feel. I liked it. I have like one thought to share, and then we were just like took it away. I'm so excited for her next book. I would like to go back to Witches as well because I feel like she did that so well. But yeah, that was amazing. Thank you anyone who watched. Kira said she loved that it was sapphic and had no sympathy for her brother. He was toxic.
Yes.
Welcome, Hannon. Great that you love this. I don't know if you love the book or love us, but either way, we love you
either
too.
way.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yes, it was.
Thank you so much. Like, it was so much fun. Hopefully we can get together some other time, talk about that. Next book when it comes out, you guys, I'm inviting you for sure. Don't know when that will be, but whatever. Oh yeah. The book for January, undecided for the book club if anyone does care. But thank you so much for like coming, everyone. And I think that's it from us. Should we do the awkward wave?
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.